Greetings everyone, I'm Brian LeWolfhunt, and this is a lovely video where I talk about my favorite game, Sentinels of the Multiverse. If this is your first video, hi Facebook friends, take a look at my channel. This is what I've been doing for the past few months. I don't have an obsession at all. This video will serve as an introduction to the game, as well as my thoughts on its evolution. So let's get started, shall we? Before we begin, if you are a veteran of the game, then this first bit might not be news to you. So if you want to skip to my musings about the evolution of the game, you can skip to this time code. Sentinels of the Multiverse is a cooperative card game where 1 to 5 players play as 3 to 5 heroes total to take out a big bad villain. You know card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering? Yeah, this game is nothing like that, and I'll be extraordinarily insulted by you for even implying that. This game is entirely cooperative, no competition involved. The hero, villain, and environment decks are all fixed. You can't mix and match them. You don't collect or trade cards. Every character is that character and each of their cards is theirs. The game engine is thus. The villain gets to go first. Any start of turn effects happen, and then they play a card. They do whatever that card asks them to do, then any end of turn effects happen. Then the heroes get to go. In turn order, the heroes play a card, use a power, then draw a card before passing the turn to the next hero. Card plays generally take the form of ongoing or equipment that have passive bonuses, or one-shots that are strong single-use abilities. All ongoing and equipment cards stay in play, unless told otherwise, and all one-shots are discarded when their effects are done. Powers are repeatable effects that you can use every turn. There's always one on the hero's character card, but some hero cards may have supplementary powers you may use instead. Once you do your actions, you may draw a card and finish your turn. If you are desperately looking for more cards, or specific cards, you may decide to skip your play and your power in order to draw an extra card. After the heroes are done, the environment deck goes. Starting effects, card play, ending effects, and then it moves back to the villain turn. It goes in turns until either the villain or the heroes are defeated. If a player character is knocked out, they are given a variety of incapacitated abilities they can use on their turn, so the player can still help out even though the hero is knocked out. So that's the how-to. What do I think of the game? Well, you may notice, based off my content, that I like this game. It is honestly one of the best made card games I've ever seen. It has almost 40 playable characters, and each of them has a unique playstyle. There are loads of synergies, both overt and hidden, many opportunities to feel like an awesome hero, a large amount of flexibility in terms of difficulty from relaxing to nail-biting, and very nice art. The artwork for the game is very approachable, and it gets better and better as the game's one artist improved its craft. And above all, the game is very good at its theme. It is dripping with that classic superhero feel. It has paragon heroes, evil mad scientists, aliens, monsters, cosmic beings, gritty anti-heroes, comic relief, friendships, rivalry, love, hate, desperation, hope, and so much more. There is such an evocative lore in this game that you might be convinced that there are actual comics for these stories. In fact, there is so much lore that the game's creators have a podcast dedicated to just talking about the lore. You can sink your tactical mind into the mechanics of the game, or you can sink your creative mind into the characters and setting. This card game has been incredibly immersive for me on both fronts. It takes off everything that I want. Interesting and varied gameplay, variable difficulty, and a world that I can immerse myself into. For anyone looking for a fun superhero experience, I highly recommend it. And now comes the part where I will ramble about the development. If you're not familiar with the game, then this video might as well end for you here, since I'm going to go a bit more inside baseball. Just know that I have a companion episode to this coming out soon. And for the rest of you, greetings! Since I don't really have a good place to talk about this game's evolution, I'm going to put it here so I feel less awkward about just making a review. Here goes! I have a tendency to think about how things work, so I ruminate on the evolution of the game a lot. When making a game, one needs to make it interesting and fun. For a first set, you need to keep it simple if you can. You will notice there aren't too many off-the-wall elements in the core set. Most heroes operate in roles that are easy to understand. Now, the core game heroes aren't all as married to their themes as later heroes due to their creators sticking to an archetype. It is always a good idea to keep things simple because complexity will happen by itself. This still did allow some crazy things to happen though, like an alternate game over, or cards that restrict turns for both the heroes and villains. Now, when making expansions, one has to do one of a few things. Make your tools more powerful, more complex, or otherwise do something different. In any game, it is important to maintain some balance, but with Sentinels it's not quite as necessary. You can have variation in power because it is all cooperative. However, it is important not to make any characters so powerful as to be essential and not so weak as to be worthless. For the most part, you see a pretty balanced distribution of power, though with a little bit of power creep towards the end. Even so, the original heroes aren't invalidated. In fact, as one of the creators once said, strictly speaking, they are now even better. As more elements are brought in, more interesting things can be done with the original heroes. More heroes with ping damage is a great thing for Legacy. More heroes with card draw assist is lovely for Haka, Bunker, and Fnatic. And heroes that provide extra card plays are wonderful for Ra and Tempest. Every time they bring in new elements, it recontextualizes every other hero in the game. What crazy thing can we do with this new ability? That's what you're pretty much thinking every time you see a new hero. There are a few things I have noticed through the development of the game. First, while villains still destroy setup, later villains have become less effective at doing so. And either as a cause or as a result of that, more heroes were made that emphasize setup. Villains no longer wipe every single ongoing or equipment card. They still go out and break your stuff, but there are limits to the amount they do so. I think the latest villain that does a full-on setup wipe is Misinformation. Even the Oblivion scenario, the thing that's designed to be a little unfair, is light on the setup destruction. You'll also note that the bad guys get less swinging as we go. They become more consistently easy or consistently hard. Granted, swinginess still happens, and it's fun when it's like that, but they got better at consistency. Then there's environments, and just an overall improvement as things went. The core set of the game had 4 environments, and 2 were among my least favorites. One for being overwhelming, and one for being really restricting to players. Later they would make them more manageable, or, if they intend them to be difficult, then they would boost the bad guys instead of restrict the heroes. It's a slight difference that is very important for the feel of the game. They still have the occasional overwhelming environment, but they at least have a fitting theme to it now, as being like, oh god, you don't want to be in this place. Anyways, thank you for sticking around to the end there, listening to me ramble about my hobby. I hope you're all doing well. Take care, friends. Okay, let's see if I have the energy to do this again. Mic wasn't on the first time. Blech. It's a slight difference that... Marg. Meg, you made me lose my place. I'm angry too because the first cut had better bloopers. Blah blah. Blah 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 blah. That better not be the cat making noise.